Hi everyone, welcome to my first tutorial of doing Elf in the Shelf Bobo. I will be doing this on a live over on my TikTok account as well, but this is just a tutorial for you as well. Okay, so we're going to need 2 pairs of scissors, we're going to need a Bobo balloon, we're going to need some fishing wire, we're going to need an elf, we're going to need some foam balls, some of these, and we're going to need a 260 along with a hat box and some ribbon. So let's get into it now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch our Bobo out. We need to stretch from side to side all the way around, making sure that we are making it nice and supple, so that when we inflate it, it goes into a really nice shape. Your first stretch is always the worst one, it's really tough, but just keep going round until you have done a full 360. Once you have done a full 360, you're going to inflate it, inflate the Bobo, not to its full potential though. Okay, so when inflating the Bobo, if you see my other videos, you will know that I always make sure that I put the neck of the Bobo straight down onto the nozzle and blow the air straight into the balloon and not into the neck first. Okay, so I'll stretch that out. I am going to give it another stretch. I always like to start in the centre, so the neck and the top, and then work my way round. It just, I don't know, it works better in my head really. I know when I've done the full 360. Okay. The full 360, we're going to inflate again. This time we're going to go slightly larger, not over inflate it. Again, we're going to put the neck right down on the pump so the air goes directly into the balloon and not through the neck and then into the balloon. Okay, so I've now blown it to the size that I want it to be. This time I'm going to let the air out. I'm going to place it down and I'm going to place the palm of my hand on the centre of my Bobo and flatten it in the middle. Now I want to make sure that I keep some sort of air around the edges, and for that reason being is that I'm going to get hold of my edges now, and at the moment we can see that they're all higgledy-piggledy, so I'm just going to pull them out so they're nice and straight. Okay, and I'm going to work my way around my Bobo. I've still got air in there, in between them, but I just want to make sure that there is no creases. Now if I feel that there's a crease when I've smoothed it out, I'm going to inflate it, and I'm going to do the same thing exactly again. The reason being is if we cut it and there's a crease on our cut, when we come to reseal it, the seal isn't going to be as secure as what it should be, and therefore you might miss a bit or it might scrunch up and therefore create a crease in itself, and then the air will get let out. So when cutting a Bobo, you always cut from the side. I have seen it and I have done it where you've cut from the top, but the stability of things hanging from the top just isn't enough really. So we're going to go from the side. Now we don't need much of a gap for this because it's only a small toy and we're just getting some polystyrene balls to go inside. So I'm going to go from this side to here. Okay, now I always have 2 pairs of scissors. I have my red handled pair that I will cut anything with, so my fishing wire, my tape, my 260s. My other pair is what I only cut my Bobos with, and with my ribbon. So I'm going to go in So I'm going to cut down the centre. We're going to use the centre of the balloon, and I'm going to cut that bit. I'm just going to go over the seal and cut a hole, and it's about 2 or 3 millimeters. Okay, so it's not very wide at all. Now, because I've still got air in my balloon, I'm not going to fight to find where the hole is. Okay, so now I can separate it and I can get my hole in there. Okay. I am just going to leave that to one side for now. Okay, now I'm going to think about hanging my elf. Now, what I didn't mention to you guys is this extra tool. So this I got off Amazon. It's a clothes tag holder, and basically I'm going to put a tag through his hat, depending on where you want him hanging from. You could do it from here, you could do it from here. I think I'm going to go from here. So I'm going to thread it through, and then I'm going to press the gum, and then that will take that off there. So now that has given me something to tie my fishing wire to be able to hang him properly. Okay, so here's my fishing wire. I'm going to use my red scissors. I'm going to cut it longer than what I actually need it, just because it's easier. I'm going to make a knot, and then with the ends of my little hook, I am just going to tie that around there like so, and then I'm going to do it in a knot again, just to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, so there we have it, he's hanging. Okay, now the other thing I always do, and this is purely for my own convenience, is get a plastic stick. I'm going to get some masking tape. I am going to wrap that around my stick, and then I'm just going to put some masking tape over the top of it. Okay, this just means that it's much easier for me to thread this through into the neck of the balloon rather than it just being some wire. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to go in. I'm not worried about him at the minute, but I'm just going to make sure that I get my rod through my balloon and out the other side. That's done, don't need to worry about it. Now I'm going to pop him inside. Okay, so I'm going to slowly and carefully, I am going to pop him inside. There we go. Carefully not to rip the cut that you've already made. You don't need it any bigger than what it already is. Okay, he's in. Now for the next bit. Okay, so for the polystyrene balls, last year I got myself in a mess, and I mean a mess. They went everywhere. So this year I've decided to put them in a container that I can just pour them into the balloon, because if I'm transporting from one to another, they just end up going everywhere and you look like you've just had a snowstorm. So I've just got one of my little plastic containers. I'm going to open my seal up, and I'm going to put some polystyrene balls inside. Still made a mess, but not as nearly as much as what I did last year, honestly. Trust me when I say it gets messy. It gets really messy. Okay, just have a little look, see what I've got in there. I might put a few more in, just a few more. I don't want it to be too sparse at the bottom. Okay. They go everywhere. Okay, so now I'm happy with the amount of polystyrene balls, but now I'm going to put my lid back on here, because if I don't, they're going to go flying. And now we're going to seal the Bobo. Okay, when we seal our Bobo, your heat sealer will vary. Okay, so this heat sealer is on, this is on nearly 4, but my blue one that I have as well normally goes between 3.5. So you'll just have to play around with your settings before actually doing one. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way so you can see. So I've got my setting. I know that my setting's in the right place. I'm now going to place my lip over onto my heat sealer. Okay, and you can see that it's just about touching the silver. Okay, so I know that my cut is going to be over this halfway mark. Okay, and I also know that it is really smooth. There is no lumps and bumps there at all. Okay, so I'm going to press down. That made a noise, you would have heard it. The light went on, the light went off really quickly. Do not let go of it as soon as the light comes out. The light is heating up for the amount of seconds. Then you need to leave it in place for the elements to cool down. This is now resealing the plastic back together. So it's melted it and now it's resealing it. You count to 10 and lift. And that's still not. Beg your pardon. Okay, so I'm going to put my seal over. I'm going to hold it down. Light goes off. Let the elements cool down to reseal. And here you now can see that there is a line going across. Okay, so that's my first one. Now this is quite a shortcut, however I am always going to reinforce this. So I now go to the side. So I know I've got a little bit of a hole here, so I'm going to make sure that that is over and touching the silver side of my heat sealer. This is all smooth, there's no creases, so I'm going to go down, light goes on, light goes off. I'm going to stay for another 10 seconds whilst the element is cooling back down and it is cooling the plastic down so that it's resealing it back together. Okay, so now you can see that I've got a crisscross that side, and then we're going to go just to reinforce it. I don't need to seal it this side, I am just literally reinforcing it just to this side. So we go across that way and then across that way and then across that way. So we've got 3 lines. Now by you doing it that way, it is foolproof. I promise you, it is foolproof that there are no creases in there and there will be no holes. Okay, that's our sealing done. Once we've done our sealing, I will always do just to check, even though I know that I've done it okay, I'm just going to double check it because you just don't know. Again, I'm going to do the nozzle right down onto the pump so the air goes directly into the balloon. Okay, I'm going to put some air into it and then I'm just going to check it against my face to make sure that there are no more I can feel any holes or air coming out. No holes. And you will also see now, and I've exaggerated this, that the seal of it is all smooth. Okay, so that's just folded over and that's gone flat against the balloon. Okay, so I know that that's okay. So now I'm going to blow it back up to the size that I want it to be. So now he's just stuck like that, so he's stuck to his leg, which actually I think is quite cool. So I'm going to leave it there. What I am going to do first of all is I'm going to twist that off a bit, and I'm just going to cut up a 360. So I'm using my rubbish scissors, going to cut one end off. I'm also going to cut this end off, and I save those bits, that's for another video. And then I'm going to cut this in half. Okay, I've twisted it. So now I'm going to put my 260 in place. I'm going to pull it as tight as I possibly can, keeping this hand still, and I want to be able to go over. I don't want to get tangled up in my fishing line. I'm going to go round and under. Okay, once I've done it that way, I'm then going to do it the opposite way. I'm then going to tie it in a knot, tie my 260 in a knot, tie it again. I'm going to cut my ends off because I don't need them. Okay. Now if I needed to lift my elf up even more, I've still got my fishing wire here, and because I haven't tied it into a knot, I can still pull it up if I need to. I don't need to at this point, but just keep that in mind. That is exactly why we need to keep this bit free. So I am going to cut this off now because I'm really happy. Actually, what I am going to do is cut it off there. It shouldn't slip through at all, but just to be on the safe side, just put a knot in it. Okay, and then you can cut it off, the surplus off just above that knot. Okay, now I'm going to get the neck of my balloon and I'm going to hold it where I placed my 260. I'm going to stretch my neck out. I'm now going to tie a knot in the neck to make sure that that is 110% sealed and that is not going anywhere. Okay, so I've tied it here, I've tied it here, we're done. I'm going to cut this off because we don't need it. And here we have our elf. Okay. My ribbon, I'm going to get my hat box. I'm going to get my double-sided tape. And my old scissors. I'm going to find the seam of my lid. I'm going to place that in the centre. Okay. I'm going to pick the end out of this so I can get my ribbon on. Where's my little hook thing gone? Put it back because I didn't think I needed it. That's there. Okay. And take that off. Just move you out of the way for a minute. Okay. So what I am going to do is I'm going to use some of this ribbon. Okay. First of all, just because it's a bit chunkier and it's a bit more Christmassy. So 1, 2, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to find my centre Okay, find the centre. I'm then going to place the centre in the middle of the hat. Okay, I'm then going to pop my box on top, making sure that my seal, my line is facing the back as well. Pop that in. Okay. And my ribbon. I'm going to get my balloon, making sure that my seals are at the side. I'm going to do this with some sticky double-sided tape, just because it's a bit wider. So I'm going to go one there, and I'm going to peel that off. Obviously don't go in with sharp tools when doing this one. That side off. One on this side. This will just help secure the ribbon in place. Okay, so now I'm going to hold my balloon, but I'm going to bring my ribbon up quite tight. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that that's nice and secure on there. There's that side. So again, on this side, I'm going to bring my ribbon up, nice and tight. There. Okay. Now, I am going to tie this in a knot at the top here. So now I'm going to make my, okay, so I'm going to go over to the centre on one, angle it slightly back on itself. That's probably a bit too long actually. Up there. Hold that there. Just going to adjust it slightly. And then I can put the ribbon on the top there, either with a glue gun or some double-sided tape. I'm going to use a glue gun. This is a cool glue gun. It's one that I just leave on most of the time, to be honest. Okay, it's still hot, but not as hot as it was. Okay. Nice to just sit. I'm just going to get a glue dot just to put the ribbons at the side and to keep them in place. I'm going to put one there. So I'm going to do one there. Okay, I'm then going to get my scissors and just cut them a little bit shorter. And there you have your hanging naughty elf on a shelf. Merry Christmas!